Hey, what's happening? Ronin, man. You know, a lot of people talk about in Red Pill and you really all over the internet about breaking away from the matrix and how to get out of society's grasp. And I often talk about how to create a life such that no one can ever put you back into the matrix. So, you break out and then you want to make sure that you don't get thrown back in, right? So you have to create a life that is essentially impossible to be trapped. Where you can't be trapped, and it's I call it unblackmailable. But there's another aspect I want to talk about today. Today, the aspect is okay. So you break out of your own personal matrix, right? There is no the matrix. There's your matrix. There's your life where you're at. Then, once you kind of realize that maybe a lot of the things you're doing don't make any sense for what you want, that you're not living your authentic life, you're not living the life you want to live. You didn't decide to live this life. You didn't choose these values. You didn't choose this kind of way of living and thinking. And you look around and your wife hates you, and you don't like your job, and you're like, what the hell. So then you start getting in the process of breaking out. And you start to think, well, what can I do to change my life? And, then you think, obviously, how can I not get put back into that? There's a middle part that's missing. And the middle part is what happens after you totally get out of the matrix and after you protect yourself of back being in the matrix. So I guess one way to look at it is if you live in let's say you live in a high crime area and you basically are finding yourself in danger like all the time, bad things happening to you, right? You get robbed, all kinds of things happen. And then you say, okay, I don't like this, right? So you start lifting weights and you get a security system and you build a wall around your house, you protect yourself, maybe you take some bad people out of your life, you plug the holes that you had. Okay, so now you're safe. You're in your house, nobody can fuck with you, right? And you got time. Now is when you go on your deep inner journey. What happens with a lot of guys is what I've seen many, many times is guys will say, I'm in the matrix, this sucks, I don't want to do this, right? So then they basically say, okay, I'm gonna get out of the matrix. And then right away they start making big decisions. So they say, okay, I'm not gonna do this anymore, I'm gonna do that, I'm gonna do this, I'm not gonna do that. And this is a very, very big mistake. Very, very big mistake. And the reason is because the time that you bought, okay, by let's say securing your house and creating a safe environment, if you go out and start just making decisions right away, right? You start saying, okay, I want to do this, you're going to tend to make the same kind of decisions. You're going to, or you're going to make other decisions that are not really what you really, really, really want to do. And the reason is because you've been in a lot of danger and you've been running around wasting your energy, protecting yourself. And so you haven't had time. And you probably haven't even had friends or a situation where anybody gave a fuck about what you thought or what you felt or who you are. They just want you to work, get working, like a lot of women, it's like just fucking work, pay the bills, don't care how you think, don't care what you want, it doesn't matter, you're just a man. Men, as soon as men start saying what they want, criticism just it just piles high from guys and girls. So the key thing is what you do is you break away, and this is a very important part. The beginning is so important. But then once you've done that, okay, once you've gone through that and once you've protected yourself, now you're in a situation that is actually pretty dangerous because you haven't really spent a long time thinking about things, and you don't know your Let's call it your new self instead of your real self. Let's call it your new self. Because your new self is the self that you do with everything that you have, right? So like another example metaphor might be like when you finish university, right? Before university, the best job you can get is maybe at the supermarket or something, right? Then you get a job that you get a PhD or a master's in chemistry. All of a sudden you can be a chemist, right? So you have new options. So after everything is done, often what people don't realize is they have new options now. Not only are they a different person, you might not know exactly what you want at this point, but you often don't even know what options you have. You know? I mean, did you know that Japan was filled with beautiful cities like this? You know? A lot of people have no idea. You know, I'm not saying you want to come here and live, but I'm just saying, did you know? Most people had no idea. You know? It's a beautiful country. It's not anime or Tokyo or whatever, you know? Japan to me is just a beautiful natural country. It's got so much nature. It's got tons of surf. It's got tons of hot springs, mountains, underwater caves. I found tons of them. I like to go find things, caves. I like caves. So I found a lot of caves, man. Caves in Okinawa filled with human bones from the war. Underwater caves in Shimoda. I like caves, right? So I found a lot of caves in Japan. I didn't know that existed. When I first got here, I just thought it was Tokyo and the girls and, you know, Shinjuku and Shibuya and all that, right? And I still love all that stuff. I really do. I love it. But there's still a lot more, you know? And so I found this out over time. Some things just take time. Some changes, they just take time, you know? It just keeps that you just keep going and keep doing what you're doing. And other things you need to make a decision. So we'll talk about both today. For myself, what I do, and my friend reminded me of this morning. I got up this morning, I did my yoga, didn't have much food in the fridge left because we had a huge barbecue last night, but I cooked up the vegetables I had left, and I'm gonna have a couple cans of fish before I go back to Tokyo area. And I did my yoga, I cleaned the house, I took care of a cut I had on my hand that was infected, and now I'm down here doing this video, which I knew I really needed to do. I hesitated to make this video because I was in such deep thought up here. I was really, really on my own deep personal journey. What I'm talking about now is what I did. So this is post, not pre. Or I would say mid. Right now I'm in the middle of my journey, and I'll explain that later. But so once you're safe, once you're free, once you're protected from future harm, from future slavery, you got to go inside, man. You got to go inside. You got to go and find out. You got to take time to figure out what are your new options, right? Like you got your master's degree in chemistry, right? Your master's degree comes from Ronin, man. You know, like really, like this is one of my jobs is to show you what's available in the world. You know, a lot of guys, they think like whatever fat women are around them is all the only options they have, right? You know, maybe they're 60 years old, you know, and they think they can't get a girlfriend or whatever. They can't get laid anymore. Total bullshit. Total fucking bullshit, man. The world is full of great opportunities. And I want to show you some things that I found in order to, the reason why I'm doing it is because I want to show you the alternatives that exist, so that as you go on your journey, as you look inside yourself, you will say, oh, well, there's that option. You know, I could do that. I could live that kind of life. Like, I didn't know that. You know, I had no idea I could live a life like that, you know. I said, oh, you know, like, for example, if you can make $1,000 a month, if you can get paid $1,000 a month, you can essentially travel for the rest of your life without ever settling down. That's easy to do, actually. You're not going to be living in the Hilton, but you're going to be in places like this for the rest of your fucking life. All kinds of different countries. There's a lot of options, man. There's the nomadic option. There's the, you know, working abroad option. There's the online business option. And then once you do these things, right? what do you do next? Because so much information online is all red, is all blue pill, right? So it's like, basically you do these things and then you just get chained up again, right? That's the whole goal for most people, is to be a slave in some new situation. That's not my goal. And so my journey this time has been, a lot of it you guys know already. It's been, my kind of discovery of my dragon, which is my childhood. And I had never thought about my childhood before. And I won't talk about it very much longer, I don't think. But it was very, very important recently for me to go deep into that and to figure out some very, very fundamental things about myself. Everybody will have a different journey. So I'm not saying that's your journey. And by me having a journey, don't think that I'm telling you, like secretly, like that's also everybody's kind of journey. It's not. I'm just telling you my journey. My journey was really going in deep into my childhood, and that kind of I got cracked open, right? And sometimes, someone will fuck you over, and it can be the best thing that ever happened to you, because it really forces you to get out of the situation you're in. You can't no longer stay there. Sometimes you kind of get kicked out of the matrix. Yeah, that's what it is. You're in the matrix, right? And then you get fucking kicked out. And then you're like, oh no. You want to go back to the matrix, It's true. So many guys live like this. I mean, there's different levels of truth to everything, but I'm telling you, that's actually pretty true. A lot of guys, like, they say they're trying to escape the matrix. Actually, they're trying to get back in. Oh, that's fucking hilarious. So true, man. So many guys. And you can see it in the decisions guys make. Some guy will escape a miserable situation, let's say in the States, and then they will go overseas and recreate the same miserable situation in another country. And I don't mean that these guys are dumb. This is a key thing, guys. We're working against our own human nature here. I want the best for everybody. I want everybody not to do that. But it does happen. And if it does happen to you, where you do make the same mistake again and again, that's your journey. You're going to have to do that until you're ready to not do that anymore. And maybe that requires seeing a new way of life, seeing something else, seeing a reason. Sometimes you just need motivation. And motivation can be from a picture, anything. I remember the first time I saw a picture of the Rio Carnival. I just knew, I knew I had to go to these kind of carnivals around the world. I just knew it. I was like, I gotta go. There's no way I could miss a party like that. I've actually never been to the Rio Carnival, but I've been to tons of great carnivals all over the world. And there's a great carnival that nobody knows about in the Philippines called Ati-Atihan. If you want to go to a Rio type of carnival that's way cheap and way easy to go to, it's in Iloilo, and I forget the name of the island, but just search Iloilo, and that is a great 3-day festival, man. That is just a party time. I had such a great time when I went. The thing never ends. I mean, it's just I was laughing the whole time, like it was an absolute scream. But when I saw that picture, that was all I needed, right? Sometimes we just need a picture to give our brain the message that we can do that, or that's something for us. I want to try that. Maybe you don't know it's for you, because if you don't, like I said, when you're in a dangerous time once you break out of the matrix. It's a really dangerous time. You jump out of the matrix, and then, man, you're vulnerable now. I knew a guy who made a company, and the company was based on getting investment from women who were newly divorced. And of course he never said it, but the reason is because these women had never managed money before. And so he was like, hey, I'll get their money, and then they can invest in my company, right? In his deal. And so that's what happened. He got a team of girls to target these newly divorced women because they didn't know what to do with their money. So he only took money from newly divorced women, and his business was very successful. But the thing is, the reason why those women, maybe they didn't make the best investment choice with him because they didn't have any experience. They just suddenly had a pile of cash. That's kind of what you're like when you break out of the matrix. You're like a man, a valuable man with a pile of fucking cash and total freedom to decide what he wants to do. That's a dangerous situation, man. There's people who want to take advantage of that. There's like other decisions you can make that are similar as before. There's things that look good but actually aren't good for you. You know, when I show you stuff on my videos, I really want you to know that it's a beautiful thing, it's an interesting thing, and this you know, things could motivate you to change your life. But I would hesitate against making big decisions. I would say the biggest decision you want to make once you break out of the matrix and you protected yourself, so you're unblackmailable, and then the next step is to test the waters. So you start to, instead of making these big decisions, right? Instead of saying, hey, I'm going to go and buy a car, I'm going to move, I'm going to buy a house in Thailand, I'm going to, you know, do this big thing, I'm going to make this huge decision that can't be reversed, right? Once you start doing that, then you're kind of like, it's like super risky because you don't really know what it's like. And also the other problem is when you start to get in touch with yourself, when you start to get very red pill in your own life, and when you start to get to know yourself, you raise your standards. You raise your standards. So for me, like, you know, my standards are high. And they're not high because I'm some kind of important person. They're high because I've seen a lot of things. You know, I know a lot of stuff, so I can't just be happy. I mean, I can, okay, don't get me wrong. You can be happy anywhere. Literally anywhere. It's a decision that you make, and it is a very, very important point. But when it comes to making the best decision, right, you could be happy with any car. But if you have money and you're going to buy a car, right, you should really, really take your time and really, really figure it out. Make sure that you get the right one, or the right house, or the right airplane or boat, or whatever it is that's a big investment for you, right? You want to make sure that that you know the options, you know yourself, you know, you kind of know the long term, you know, because there's often the short term and the long term, right? Like here at this lake, for example, this is absolutely gorgeous. Summertime is great here. But in the wintertime, there's like 1 billion feet of snow here, you know, and winter comes early, you know. So today I'm going to be swimming and it's going to be freaking beautiful. And the water is still warm, and there were still a bunch of chicks here yesterday. They're going to come out. They'll come out in the afternoon. But total sweetie pies too. I was like shocked. But no, you know, the thing is you don't know what it's like long term to be somewhere until you're there long term. Or if you research it very wisely, talking to people like yourself who have been there long term, who have seen other things, and can compare and contrast and give you honest information. Get a number of those guys, they can give you a very good idea of the reality of whatever it is. So it's a learning process, guys. It's a learning process. But the fundamental part of this whole thing, once you've broken free of the matrix, right, is to go on an inner journey. And I'll say this, the inner journey, it starts very, very simple. Very simple. You can start right now, you're doing a journey. It starts with being very, very in the moment. And when I say in the moment, what I mean, let me give you some examples, because everybody says shit these days, but they don't even do it. They don't even know what the fuck they're saying. Okay. I thought about what is in the moment for me. Okay, when I take a video and I go back and look at the video, I'm often surprised because I see a lot of things that I didn't see in real life. You know, maybe I'll see a girl smile, you know, or something. I didn't even notice that when I was walking, right? And so or a dog wanting to get pet or something, right? I'll notice something. I'll be like, whoa, I didn't even see that. And so it's because my brain is limited, the amount of information I can take in, right? The camera can take in a lot of information. That's why they're so valuable for crime, right? Justice, right? Because you can see, right? It captures a lot. So, your ears, okay, so a camera is like a streaming 24-hour camera. Imagine a streaming never-ending camera that's always on. Then imagine a different audio camera that's recording all the sounds. And another camera, it's recording all the feelings in your body. The feelings on the outside, touching your skin, the feelings inside, your breathing, all your feelings. How your weight feels in your body against the ground. The simple things. I'm not talking about deep decisions and that kind of shit. I'm just talking about really basic body stuff. How do you feel? What can you hear? What can you see right now? What does your body feel like? What are you sitting on? What are you surrounded by? What do you see around you? What do you hear? What sounds can you hear? Like someone might say, well, I don't hear anything. Silence, right? That's something. Some people live a life of silence where they have no friends around. And they don't have anybody there. And there is no laughter. There's nobody to listen to them. That is something right there. If you're hearing nothing and you think to yourself, damn, I hear that a lot. You got to think about that. Do I, not judge at all. You just want to think like, is this what I want, long term? How do I feel about this? How do I feel about the things around me? How do I feel about, I talked about this a long time ago, but I think this is a very good one. It's just so fucking simple, this one. Is if you have a girlfriend or a wife, okay? If you're around her today, don't do anything special. Just walk around the house or whatever, wherever you are with her, and just look at her face when she walks towards you. When you guys get in bed, when you eat. Does she even like you? What's her face saying? Is she even happy doing what she's doing? Does she like you? Then you want to think, so you're looking at her, right? Like a camera. And then you want to look inside. How do you feel about that? Sometimes I like I said in the earlier video, you can just see a woman walking towards you and you just know that basically at this point, she basically fucking hates you. Now, if that's the case, and I think there are actually quite a few guys who are really in denial about this. I don't want you to, again, don't be making big decisions. You're going on a fucking journey. You want to be a wise man like King fucking Solomon. Okay? So you're not making these like rash, you're not running around like a fucking chicken with your head cut off. You're just thinking about it. There's nothing to be afraid of. Because your subconscious mind, as an intelligent man, is so incredibly powerful that everything that you see, you already know. Your subconscious already knows. That's why you should never be afraid of looking inside. Because not only does your subconscious already know, which means that basically there's nothing to be afraid of, but your conscious mind is trying to not know. And that requires a lot of energy. And whenever you waste a lot of energy doing something, that energy is being wasted. It could be used on something valuable, like starting a new business, or moving, or trying something new. Whatever the fuck it is. As you find out who you are and what you want, and what you don't want, you're going to need energy, right? It takes energy. This inner journey takes energy. Don't, you need that fucking energy. Don't be wasting, don't be laughing about that one. Covering up stuff is a waste of energy. And as soon as possible, you want to stop doing that. You want to start saying, wait, okay, I can see that basically my wife hates me. Like, don't say anything to her. It's not her fault. Don't do anything about her. This is not about her. Just accept the fact that your wife doesn't like you. Chew on that for a while. Like, really, just chew on it. Ask yourself, did you already know that? How long have you known that? How long have you known that your wife, that's supposed to love you, fucking hates you? How long have you known that? When did you first find out? What was the thing? Instead of feeling sorry for yourself or getting angry, you want to really go in like you're writing a novel. You're writing a story. Like you're going to write a story about a guy in your situation. A guy whose wife hates him. And where he is in life. What his journey is. What is he going to do? Right? So you're just kind of like writing down the facts. There was a famous inspector or whatever, police guy who said, just the facts, ma'am. Just the facts, ma'am. That's what you want to do. Just what are the facts? When did you find out? And then just think, how could I have found out earlier? And then then after you kind of process all the details, all the ways that you can see it, then you want to start thinking, how do you feel about that? Because it's not obvious. It is not obvious, guys. I hate to tell you. Some guys will say, oh, that bitch hates you, fuck that. If you look inside yourself, there's a possibility that you were told that as a kid. That you weren't worth loving. And so you're recreating that in your life. There is a possibility. I'm not saying that's happened with everybody. But these are the type of things you find when you go on your deep inner journey. Because once you discover that type of thing, that cracks you open. Because you realize that you're creating your life. And the thing is what you need to do is not get rid of her. I mean, that's maybe you want to do that, right? But the thing is, you want to first, before you make these big changes, you want to understand. Be a wise man. Understand first. Plan. When you execute, nobody will believe it. It'll be lightning fast and it'll be irreversible. That's the way I move. And I'm not fucking around either. That is the way I move. I really, really think. I really, really look deeply. I look in people's eyes. I look at situations. And once I realize something, and at a deep level, then I look inside myself. I say, well, why am I like this? Why am I in this situation? Like instead of blaming them, I say, what in me caused me to be in this situation? Like, why the fuck would I do this? Because that's a very good question. Because if you say, okay, well, she did this, she did that, okay, that's fine. Maybe she did, but the key thing is a lot of guys wouldn't have put up with that. And I don't mean that you're weak or anything like that. What I mean is, we all have kryptonite. Every man has kryptonite. So your kryptonite might be very, very different from my kryptonite. In fact, it will be, probably. So the thing is you look at yourself and you say, well, how did I get, how did I let myself, like, why did I get in this situation? Like, what did I think about myself? What was I thinking? Where was I? And then once you've kind of faced where you were, then you start to look to read stories of other men who've gone through this, who did the same thing. And then what did they think? How did they get out of it? Because again, if you go and just make decisions quickly, you're going to make the wrong decisions, guaranteed. It's so difficult to find the right advice. You really need to know. You need to take your time. You need to know who you are, why you did it, where you found out, when you first saw it, what was the reason, where did it come from? And then once you kind of got down there, then you say, okay, geez, this is pretty complex. This is pretty old. I better be careful with this one. This is not as simple as changing like brands of coffee here. I want to make sure I don't do this again. There is nothing to be ashamed of, guys, anymore. Shame, you don't fucking need it. What you want to do is you want to be rational and you want to think about it. So how did I get in this situation? What was the reason? And you dig in deep, find other guys who went through it and who they overcame it. What did they do? How did they handle it? Start implementing those ideas. Go into action. Don't just sit around and figure things out. The journey is long in the mind, long in thinking, but it's also in action. You need to do action at some point. But again, that is way, way later, right? Sometimes what happens is you get so into the mind, you realize, okay, I don't want to run around and do something fast, right? I want to be wise, right? So you take your time, and then finally you start reading. You finally find the right help that just nails it for you, matches you. Well, then it's about, you have to like start, setting goals and making sure that you do actually implement that stuff, because the worst thing is to get as close as you can and then not do it. It is the worst. It really is. It's better to be in denial. It's better to be in the matrix. It's super painful not to implement those kind of, once it's on a silver platter now, you've done the work. It's almost like you're at the top of Mount Everest and there's that ring, that brass ring that you've been wanting. It's right up there and you just walk right by it. Don't do that. Grab that fucking ring, right? Implement that fucking ring. And then what'll happen is you'll start to change. And when you change at this level, this deep inner level, everything changes. And it's the beginning of a journey. It really is. It's the end of this journey, this deep, you're searching for your dragon. But then there's a lot to do with that dragon, how to cure that dragon, how to work with that. Because some things we can't totally get rid of. We just have to learn to live with, right? My eyes are not that great. I had LASIK surgery, but, they're just not that great. So I have to live with that. So I have to learn to live with that. So I find ways to live with it. So I'm not saying it's not a big deal. It's like, certain things you can't change, right? Or there maybe there's, you can't go back in time, right? There's certain things you can't do, right? So then you learn, well, what do people do who passed up, opportunities like that? How do they handle that? How do they turn that into lemons into lemonade, right? And you'll find that there are definitely people who have done exactly what you've done, and they did not fucking give up. In fact, they found a way to do something that was very, very meaningful and inspiring for them, right? Guys who actually did shit. This is action, guys. And it has nothing to do with anybody else. But it starts with the basics of feeling yourself, feeling your surroundings. Just imagine that 24-hour camera, that 24-hour, I call it an audio camera, a feeling camera, a sensory camera on the outside and on the inside, right? These will give you, this gives you by really feeling yourself, where you're at, what is your situation? You can imagine yourself like waking up in a movie or something. It's like it's not your life, it's somebody else's life, and you wake up in your room or you wake up in your job and just look around like you just woke up and came to, and this is your life. Like, who is this? What is this fucking guy doing every day? What's his life like? Is he happy? Why is he here? And then you go on the detective journey, right? And then you go on the internal journey. All right, guys. Well, I'm heading back to Tokyo. And so the guys are starting to show up for the summit it's 2019 if you're watching this next year. And so it's 2019. We're having a summit here in Japan. And it's going to be in the Shinjuku area. So if you can jump on a plane and you want to come, definitely do. Definitely do. There's still plenty of time. We start 6th, 7th, and 8th of September 2019. And we're going to be in the Shinjuku area. And if you're going to come, I can tell you what area, you know, there's a bunch of hotels in that area that maybe are good options or whatever, different prices. It's not as cheap as Thailand, but it's if you're hanging out with Ronin, it's gonna be fine. You're not gonna be wasting money. We'll be having a good time. We'll be discovering stuff in addition to the summit. We'll be doing all kinds of fun stuff, hanging out, and the guys always get together, and it's always a great time. So I'd love to have you. All right, guys, and if you want to work on your interpersonal journey, nobody can. This is something you really need to do on a deep level by yourself, but a guide can really help. A guide who cares can really help. If you want me to be that guide, you know, you can join Unblackmailable and we can work on your inner journey. But I warn you, a lot of this stuff is inside. But hearing other people's journeys does help a lot, actually, because it helps to hear the outside, you know. It helps to hear somebody kind of who sees you from the outside, from another perspective. And they might say, you know, you're not doing this, you're doing this, you know. And then you're like, no, I'm not. It's like, and then you think about it, you're like, fuck. Damn it. The most important thing I didn't even know. But my friend told me, okay, gotcha. You know, so sometimes that can help to have somebody, whether it's a really good friend, if you want to do it together or whatever. I think Jordan Peterson has his self-authoring program, which I actually might do at some point. It's like $20. It's like a diary, and you write it down, your past history and everything. I might actually. I was going to do that actually, and I just never did. But what's funny is I find myself going in the same process. So it's a universal process. The deep inner journey of a man. It's a universal thing, and it's a very, very important thing. And especially for you guys, man, you guys breaking out of the fucking matrix. Holy shit, this is gold, man. I'm telling you, most guys don't do this part, and this is what really fucks them up. Because they go right back into it, and man, it is depressing the second time. Because you've spent all this energy, right? And you did the exact same thing. You know, it's just like, there's a frustration level that can be pretty high. Now, of course, if you do that, then you have to look at yourself and you say, okay, my journey is going to be a little longer. But I'm going to figure this bastard out, and I'm going to do it, right? You know. And then you make some hardcore decisions, and sometimes something like that can help you, right? Because then the next time you're like, okay, I don't want to do that again. I don't want to do the same dumb thing twice. No, thank you. You know, sorry, 3 times, you know. All right, I'm going to jump in the lake and wash up and head into Zushi Beach. And then the next day I'll be in Enoshima, so you guys might see some more videos of the beach. All right, man. Any questions? Put them down below. And appreciate, you know, all your comments recently. I've been a lot of fucking comments. Oh yeah, if you're still listening, you're fucking awesome. People who really like to learn, these are the guys I really like to help. Listen, share my videos. The reason why I say that, I never say that, is because YouTube is hardcore shadow banning this channel. I used to get 1,400 new subscribers a month, and then one video got taken down, and this is a few months ago, 5 months ago or something. Since then, I've had 200 new subscribers in like 5 months. It makes no sense, because people are getting so into it. So I think the only way is if you share them, and then other people like actually add it on their own. I think some people are not getting in them in the suggested videos. I don't know what it is. They're doing something to limit the reach of the videos. But once the videos are seen, then they're seen, right? So if you share them with friends, whether you physically tell a friend, hey, check out Ronin Man, subscribe, this one video I love here, send it to him. If you do that, if you post on social media, whatever your style is, I'd appreciate it. And if you do that, if you get your friends hooked up, you know, comment down below. I'd love to see. Yeah. You know, sometimes the Red Pill community, we got to do it ourselves, man. Because it certainly is not on, artificial intelligence is not helping us. It's working against us. They're using AI to limit men. So we got to do it physically. And you know what, guys? We are fucking up for the task. It ain't no thing, you know? Not at all, man. All right, guys. Take it easy.